every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CORETV News, expanding your view.
Hello everyone, this is CORETV Primetime News. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. In our major stories, Boko Haram wreaks havoc in Yobe and Borno states, kills soldiers, policemen and villagers after 2 hours siege. Convicted member of Boko Haram, Kabiru Umar alias Kabiru Sokoto, appeals to President Jonathan for pardon. And also in the news, low-key celebration across Nigeria as children mark day with sober reflection and prayers for abducted Chibok girls. Outside Nigeria, Russia calls for immediate end to violence in eastern Ukraine after clash between government and pro-Moscow forces claim 40 lives. We'll begin tonight.
And in business news, report by Mankissing Global Institute says Nigeria's consumer market is worth more than $400 billion US.
On sports, Turkish club Fenerbahce plays over 4 billion naira price tag on Nigeria's Emmanuel Emenike as top English Premiership sides chase after his signature.
And now the news in detail will begin tonight in Yobe State, where no fewer than 14 soldiers and 11 policemen have been killed in Boni Yadi in Gudba local government area by suspected Boko Haram members who laid siege on the town for over 2 hours. The insurgents who called TV News learned overpowered security operatives also set military formations in the town ablaze. Residents of the town equally told journalists on the telephone that the insurgents also set on fire the area court and district head residence, an office and few residential quarters. Some security personnel told journalists that the corpses of soldiers and the policemen were conveyed to Damaturu Specialist Hospital mortuary. In a related issue, Boko Haram also attacked Chinene village of Chikidi Jogode Kagum ward of Gwaza local government area of Borno State, killing 9 persons and setting ablaze churches and residential houses. The insurgents were said to have hosted their flags on some structures in Ashigashia ward of Gwaza local government, depicting the conquest. According to sources in the area, apart from the 9 persons killed, several others were left with injuries sustained as a result of the sporadic shootings by members of the sect. Many have been forced to take refuge in bushes and surrounding hills. A local government official, Nglamuda Ibrahim, who spoke to journalists in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, says that many of his extended families and friends displaced in the latest attack have been calling for assistance. He said the people were living in perpetual fear. Some of them who had taken refuge on the hills claimed that there may be another attack, having seen some of the insurgents in the area. A member of Boko Haram sect already convicted of terrorism charges, Kabiru Umar, a.k.a. Kabiru Sokoto, has appealed to President Goodluck Jonathan for pardon. The convict is appealing against the judgment of a federal high court Abuja, which sentenced him to life imprisonment on December 20, 2013. He, however, told the president through a letter written on his behalf by his lawyer, Sheriff Oko, that he was innocent of the offenses he was convicted of. Umar was jailed for being part of the mastermind of the 2011 Christmas Day bombing of St. Theresa's Catholic Church, Mandela, Niger State. In his letter, Oko faulted the process leading to his client's conviction and assured that Umar had offered to help government to solve the Boko Haram crisis in the country. He insisted that Umar was innocent of the charges he was convicted of. The Chairman Senate Committee on Education, Uche Chukwurumeje, has condemned a statement credited to the Chief of Defense Staff, Alex Bade, that the military had discovered the camps where the abducted Chibok girls were being held. Chukwurumeje, who insisted that the information should have remained a strictly security secret, stated this in an interview with journalists in Abuja. He specifically condemned the assertion by Bade that the military had located the camps where the abducted girls were being held, stressing that it was puzzling for the CDS to disclose what the military considered as a secret. The security practitioners of Nigeria say they are concerned about the security challenges facing the nation. The group's president, David Sinahime, called on the government to unite in true federalism so as to overcome the nation's security problems.
Express our deep concern over the current worrisome security challenges bedeviling the nation. We, however, use this platform to call on government at all levels, federal, state, and local level, to jettison politics and to come together in the spirit of true nationalism to prosecute the war against crime and terror in our land.
Ahime says that the military is currently working at optimal capacity to ensure the rescue of the over 200 missing schoolgirls. He was responding to a question on the capacity of the Nigerian army to handle the current security challenges.
Whilst you want to indict the military for not having been able to produce these girls in the last 45 days or so, but you also want to examine the circumstances under which these girls were picked up. I believe that having gone through the first phase, which is surveillance, and identified location where these girls are, the military is now trying to see how it can rescue the girls without casualties.
The Lagos state government will continue to make the state unattractive for criminals to operate. Governor Fashola reiterated this while receiving a check of 50 million naira donation for Security Trust Fund from Zenith Bank, Nigeria. Fashola says the government is ready to outrun criminals in the state.
Criminals are businessmen. They are just engaged in an illegal business. But they are our competitors because their success undermines our work and our success puts them out of business. So we will outspend them, we will outrun them, and we will outcompete them. That is the mission that we have set ourselves.
Wife of President Goodluck Jonathan, Patience, has advised Nigerians to desist from abusing her husband because God made him the head of the nation. She gave the advice while addressing children at an event organized to mark the 2014 Children's Day at the banquet hall of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Quoting from the Holy Bible, she said God's instruction to mankind to honor their parents was not limited to biological parents alone. She said it is bad to abuse the country and the president because God has made him the head. She assured the children and adults who attended the event that the federal government is doing all within its powers to secure the release of the over 200 schoolgirls abducted from Chibok, Borno State. While calling on Nigerians to be united in the fight against terrorism, the president's wife also advised the citizens should learn to encourage soldiers who are at the forefront of the fight. The event, which featured special interfaith prayers for the release of the schoolgirls, also saw some children presenting letters of demand on the abducted girls addressed to the Boko Haram sect to the president's wife. The president's wife, however, said since she did not know members of the sect, she would forward the children's letters to the National Security Advisor or the Chief of Defense Staff. Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi says President Goodluck Jonathan's administration and the People's Democratic Party should be held responsible for the abduction of over 200 Chibok schoolgirls. Amechi, who spoke during an interdenominational church service marking this year's Children's Day celebration in Port Harcourt, also accused Nigerians of crime against the kidnapped girls by voting the People's Democratic Party into power, explaining that change could only come if Nigerians resolved to vote out the PDP in the 2015 general elections. The governor stated that God allowed the kidnap of the girls in order to expose the leaders and the uncontrollable level of corruption. The governor carpeted the PDP for being after its political affairs without considering the plight of the abducted schoolgirls and insecurity bedeviling the country. He, however, urged Nigerians to continue praying for safe release of the girls and added that Rivers State decided to mark this year's Children's Day celebration with a solemn assembly to sharing the pains of the victims and their parents. Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola has pleaded for the release of the over 200 schoolgirls abducted by Boko Haram. Speaking at the Children's Day parade in Lagos, Fashola says the government is making effort for their release. Abiola Oluwole has details in this report presented from our studios.
The Children's Day celebration for this year has been low-key as a result of the abduction of over 200 schoolgirls from Chibok. Students in Lagos State were dressed in red t-shirts with the inscription "Bring back our friends" instead of their traditional school uniforms. Responding to questions from the students on the effort of government to ensure the safe return of the abducted girls, Governor Fashola says the security agencies are working to ensure the release of the girls. He pleaded with the abductors to release the schoolgirls.
I want to again plead passionately and very, very deeply and with every strength that I can muster that this is a problem of adults and that these people should please release these children so that adults can engage and solve whatever problem there is.
There has been increased pressure globally on the safe release of the abducted girls. Nigerians hope that the daily outcry will yield results.
The Children's Day celebration in some parts of Lagos took a sober mood when some mothers came together in an inter-religious prayer session to pray for the release of the abducted Chibok girls. Tomi Ojo has details in this report.
The inter-religious prayer session has mostly women in attendance. Parents had gathered to pray for the safe release of the schoolgirls abducted by Boko Haram over a month ago. Participants at the prayer say Nigerians need to take the efforts for the rescue of the abducted girls beyond rallies and resort to prayer.
Well, we've been protesting and we feel that the Almighty is powerful. He knows where the children are being kept. He knows the mind of the kidnappers and the terrorists. And we are asking him to please intervene and touch their hearts so that the children can be returned to their families.
We have been coming out different civil society organizations. The Women for Justice and Peace have been coming out for rallies after rally after rally to demand that our girls be brought back. But we also feel that there's a need to also bring in a prayer aspect into this. So we are praying for our girls back, not just demanding on the streets, but also having prayer sessions to ensure that we have our girls back. As you know, Nigeria, we believe a lot in God, and we trust in God, and we believe that when we do pray our girls back, that the girls will be back very soon.
Actually, ever since the dates they have been adopted, we have been having several prayer sections, protesting. We have been protesting rallies and all that to the State House. I was so glad when they told me this one was going to be a prayer section. We have prayed and we have begged the good God to help us in Nigeria and also help curb this Boko Haram issue. And we hope and we feel and we know that after this prayer section, there will be a lasting solution to Boko Haram issue, and our Chibok girls will be brought back to us live and safely.
Yalode of Lagos, Bintu Tinubu, prayed that God should touch the hearts of the abductors to release the innocent girls.
We decided to have this prayer today, especially because it's Children's Day, and the children we are looking for. We felt that during this period last year, they were with their friends, relations, schoolmates, running around the field celebrating Children's Day. And today, heaven knows where they are. We've told God all we want about Nigeria in general, because what we experience now is more than, is beyond us. We pray that Almighty God should touch everyone that is concerned in this act to live this horrible act, to stop the killing of human
girls.
beings.
The Children's Day celebration has rallied Nigerians on the safe release of the abducted schoolgirls.
The 27th of May is marked as Children's Day in Nigeria. The present situation in the country, however, has changed this year's celebration for children in Ekiti. Children held a solidarity rally to demand for the release of the abducted schoolgirls from Chibok. Ekiti State correspondent Rashid has details.
The 27th of May every year is designated to be a day to celebrate the children all over the world. But the reverse is the case in Nigeria. As we have the abductions of the Chibok girls, nothing much could be done to celebrate this year's Children's Day.
Children from the 16 local governments of the state participated in the rally, led by the Speaker of the Ekiti State Children's Parliament. The procession marched from the Government House Drive to the office of the governor, where the children read an address to the government.
Where are our friends? How are they coping far away from home? What kind of food are they eating? Where do they lay their heads for rest? When are they coming back to us?
Wife of the state governor, BC Fayemi, expressed sadness on the kind of legacy left for the young generation by the dreaded acts of insurgents being witnessed by them at this time.
I am very unhappy that these children before me are quickly becoming the inheritors of a legacy of terror, violence, and tears. All I pray for is that God Almighty will have mercy upon us as a country and will have mercy on our children.
Ekiti State Deputy Governor Udukbe Adelabu and the Commissioner for Women Affairs, while receiving the children, asked them to pray for the safe release of the abducted girls.
Children, God wants to hear your voice. Children, God wants you to stand in the gap for your friends and for your sisters. To God, you are very precious.
They want an atmosphere of peace, of security, where they could learn to be the best that God has created them to be.
The children who actually engaged in prayer for the release of their counterparts never left without leaving a demand for the unconditional release of their fellow students.
Our future, as we are the children of the government, let the Lord be with the government and provide what we need for us. I want the government to bring back my friends to me.
Our message is for the government to please help us to make sure that they know where these girls are, and they make sure that they bring them to us ill and active.
At this time of national sober reflection, the message is simple and the request is clear. Bring back our girls, make Nigeria safe, and let our children be happy once again. Rashid, CORETV News are doing it.
In the spirit of this year's Children's Day, Nigerians have been urged to work together towards rekindling the hope of children. A public affairs analyst, Joseph Evers, says the abduction of the schoolgirls has greatly influenced the life of the Nigerian child.
Our children are traumatized, our children are not happy that we can't secure them. We can't secure them, and it is a disaster. How many children in this country know that there is a government? There is what is called government. That the government is to do this and that. There is a government that should be giving responsibility. Many children, if you ask them, do you know that we have government in this country? They will ask, government? What is the meaning of government? How does it look like? It is a shame. And so it is a very big problem, and we should all be worried.
A legal practitioner, Comfort Ogunye, says the Nigerian child has lost hope in the country. She advocated for a practical step to put the next generation of the country on the path of development.
May 27 is meant to celebrate our children and to rekindle their hope. But unfortunately, today the celebration is low-key because people, the children are very sad, and you can even from their own testimony, a lot of them have lost hope in this country. A lot of them are scared, they are afraid. The future seem very gloomy, and I think that the implication of this is that our children are not happy. Indeed, what is apparent is that this country is turning out to be a country that is not their dream. And so we all have a responsibility to rekindle the hope for our children, to assure them that indeed there's hope and that the future could be better.
The battle for who owns the acronym APC is next on the Primetime News, coming up shortly after this break.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ghana. Please remain seated and ensure your seatbelts are fastened. You can now turn on your MTN mobile phone data to enjoy a browsing rate of 5 kobo per kilobyte with MTN One World. Thank you.
Absolutely. Browse like home with MTN One World. Surfing the web from any MTN operating country costs the same like home. Enjoy affordable rates when you call and send text messages. Terms and conditions apply.
MTN. Everywhere you go. The global competitive map is changing with the rapid advancement of Africa. If you're not speaking to Africa this time, perhaps you're not speaking at all. Join the continent's leading public relations practitioners at the 26th edition of the All-African Public Relations Association Conference, APRA Mauritius 2014. Venue, Le Meridian Hotel, Point Oxpiment, Mauritius. Date, 27th to 31st May 2014. Theme, Advancing Africa. For further details, visit www.afapr.org. Africa, it's time to find your goals. Supported by
this one wash challenge will test Ariel to see if it removes stains in one wash. Let the challenge begin. First, chocolate and juice. We will wash shirts with Ariel. Look, Ariel has cleaned in just one wash. So which detergent removes stains in one wash? Ariel, P&G Everyday Quality Brand.
CORETV News now provide a platform for live coverage of political rallies and electioneering campaign from anywhere in Nigeria. Political news stories, political editorial reviews, political discussions, personality profile, People's Parliament from the National, State and Local Government Assembly. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733. 01453-3407.
Our 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back. For more information on our news and other programs, you can visit us on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow us on Twitter at CoreTV News NG. Get to watch previous and current news and programs on YouTube. It's youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space and news. The Independent National Electoral Commission at the Federal High Court in Abuja opposed the hearing of a fresh suit seeking the nullification of the registration of the All Progressives Congress as a political party. INEC urged Justice Gabriel Kolawole not to entertain the suit because the plaintiff had opted to withdraw its earlier application, which was the one the court scheduled for hearing on Tuesday. The earlier application was filed by O.M. Ikegwuno and 29 others. The plaintiffs are acting on behalf of the African People's Congress, a group which is contesting the APC acronym with the All Progressives Congress. The earlier application dated July 8, 2013 was filed before the All Progressives Congress was registered by INEC. The plaintiffs filed the fresh application dated May 15, 2014 after INEC had registered the rival All Progressive Congress. Explaining the reason behind the withdrawal of the earlier application, the plaintiff's lawyer, Ikoro, says the application, which sought to restrain INEC from registering APC as a party, had been overtaken by events. According to Ikoro, proceeding to hear the earlier application will amount to an academic exercise since the action it was seeking to restrain had taken place. Expressing disappointment in INEC for going ahead with registering the All Progressives Congress, despite being aware of a pending suit challenging the action, the plaintiff's counsel said the commission had violated Section 66, subsection A of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Following the judge's ruling striking out the application, Ikoro had urged the court to order the hearing of the fresh application, but the request was opposed by INEC's counsel, Ibrahim Bawa. Justice Kolawole then adjourned to July 3rd for hearing of the plaintiff's fresh application. The plaintiffs are through the fresh application, praying the court to declare as illegal the registration of the All Progressives Congress as a political party by INEC. Now, the last minute have been heard over the violence that greeted the last Saturday rally of the Labour Party in Ikere. The most recent condemnation was from the Ekiti State Governor when he visited Femi Ayodele, an APC member who sustained gunshot wound in the Saturday crisis. Fayemi says much of the violence in Ikere are perpetrated by imported thugs.
Very peacefully in the last 3.5 years. There's no reason why a month to election we should be having this bit of violence unless it is externally sponsored, and in a number of cases we have seen a correlation between the activities of elements that have come from outside the state with some of their collaborators internally that are responsible for this.
Owing to earlier accusation of police for complicity over the Ikere violence, Fayemi appealed to politicians to eschew violence and for the police to be fair to all parties.
We also must appeal to the law enforcement agencies to do their job and to the political parties to restrain their members from indulging in acts of violence and any breach of peace in Ekiti.
The National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has advised state governments to equip general hospitals with technologies to help in detecting counterfeit drugs. Director Special Duties of the agency, Ibrahim Jimo, says that there is need to ascertain the quality of drugs administered to patients. He says that TrustScan equipment is one of the technologies that states could buy and use in ascertaining the quality of drugs, describing it as a handheld device used for the purpose. He added that the agency is ready to enlighten personnel assigned by state governments to handle the technology on how to use it. Jimo says the responsibility of fighting fake drugs did not rest on the shoulder of NAFDAC alone, but also with state governments, which should also safeguard the health of their citizens. Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola says achieving an effective power supply in Nigeria should not be a mystery. Fashola made the statement at the 2014 Power Kids Awards ceremony. Abiola Oluwole's report is presented from our studios.
Addressing students drawn from different schools in the state, Governor Fashola says the Power Kids Club initiative is aimed at raising awareness on the effective usage of power in the state. He appealed to Nigerians to see the conservation of power as a way of life.
If we can do it with our telephones, we can do it with anything. I know that the units of credit on our telephones are very important to us. And in the process of conservation of units, we have developed a language that does not exist in any other part of the world where they use cell phones. And that language is flash. But what is essential about flashing is that people are conserving their credit units. And I hope that we will take that mentality of conservation into power, into water, and into many other materials.
As Nigeria continues to seek ways of achieving effective power supply, the Lagos State government is using this forum to explore ways of educating the younger generation on the essence of conserving power.
The Power Kids Club program is an initiative working with the core project, working with the principals of schools, Ministry of Education, to catch them young, the kids we have today, to teach them the elements of electricity, to tell them about energy conservation, to tell them that you can have efficient energy, to let them know that when you know what it takes to do power, you know why you have to conserve.
The participating students develop inventions on how to conserve energy. Winners were eventually presented with cash.
You're watching CORETV Primetime News live from Lagos. Up next is business news with Sabena Izoko.
The global competitive map is changing with the rapid advancement of Africa. If you're not speaking to Africa this time, perhaps you're not speaking at all. Join the continent's leading public relations practitioners at the 26th edition of the All African Public Relations Association Conference, APRA Mauritius 2014. Venue, Le Meridian Hotel, Point Oxpiment, Mauritius. Date, 27th to 31st May 2014. Theme, Advancing Africa. For further details, visit www.afapr.org. all. Africa, it's time to find your voice. Supported by...
This one wash challenge will test Ariel to see if it removes stains in one wash. Let the challenge begin. First, chocolate and juice. We will wash shirts with Ariel. Look, Ariel has cleaned in just one wash. So which detergent removes stains in one wash? Ariel, P&G Everyday Quality Brand.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ghana. Please remain seated and ensure your seatbelts are fastened. You can now turn on your MTN mobile phone data to enjoy a browsing rate of 5 kobo per kilobyte with MTN One World. Thank you.
Absolutely. Browse like home with MTN One World. Surfing the web from any MTN operating country costs the same like home. Enjoy affordable rates when you call and send text messages. Terms and conditions apply.
MTN, everywhere you go.
CORETV News now provide a platform for live coverage of political rallies and electioneering campaign from anywhere in Nigeria. Political news stories, political editorial reviews, political discussions, personality profile, People's Parliament from the National, State and Local Government Assembly. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733. 01453-3407.
Our 24-hour news station.
Hello, good evening. You're welcome to Business News with me, Sabina Yusoku. Nigeria's consumer market is worth $400 billion US. The McKinsey Global Institute announced this report in Abuja. The report, which is entitled Nigeria's Renewal Delivering Inclusive Growth in Africa's Largest Economy, stated that the value of Nigeria's consumer market could reach $1.4 trillion by 2030, with food and non-food consumers' goods accounting for $1 trillion of the total. As stated, one of the most important underappreciated changes in Nigeria was the growing size and strength of its consuming class, as well as the labor productivity in the country, which had grown by 3.6% per year since 2010 and had contributed to the greatest share of its gross domestic product. It explained that the recent rebasing exercise had demonstrated that the natural resources sector was a smaller share of the country's economy and had cleared the misconception by people outside Nigeria that believed the oil sector was the engine growth in the Nigerian economy, as it is with the several Middle Eastern economies. The federal government says it has plans to establish industrial cities in 7 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The chairman of the Nigerian Association of the Small-Scale Industrialists, Bauchi State Chapter, Malam Tijani Jalaba, made this known in an interview with journalists in Bauchi. Jalaba said the industrial cities, when established and located in clusters, would go a long way in boosting the nation's industrialization drive and sustainability. He expressed optimism that the program will be successful if the federal government provided the enabling atmosphere as well as the infrastructure that will attract private investors. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Olusegun Aganga, said at the 2014 Joint Planning Board meeting held in Bauchi, the states that would benefit from the pilot scheme included Akwa Ibom, Enugu, Lagos, Delta, Ondo, Kano, Niger and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The World Health Organization has called on countries to raise taxes on the tobacco to encourage users to stop and prevent other people from becoming addicted to tobacco ahead of the World No Tobacco Day on the 31st of May. The World Health Organization Director General Dr. Margaret Chan made the call in a statement in Geneva. World Health Organization estimated that by increasing tobacco taxes at about 50%, our countries will reduce the number of smokers by 49 million within the next 3 years and ultimately save 11 million lives based on 2012 data. Tobacco use is the world's leading preventable cause of death. Tobacco kills nearly 6 million people each year, of which over 600,000 are non-smokers dying from breathing secondhand smoke. The IMF of International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, says banking reforms aimed at preventing another financial crisis have failed to make enough progress. Lagarde said some of the biggest problems were the so-called too-big-to-fail firms, banks whose collapse would cause such a big knock-on effect on the wider economy that governments were still expected to rescue them. The IMF managing director called for regulators worldwide to agree a framework to wind down big banks and troubles, as well as mutual recognition on rules for financial markets. Lagarde said changes required both investors and the leaders of financial firms to take values as seriously as valuation and culture as seriously as capital. I quote, "Ultimately, we need to ingrain a greater social consciousness, one that will seep into the financial world and forever change the way it does business." And on the market floor, trading today, Tuesday, ended on a bullish note as the Nigerian Stock Exchange All Shares Index appreciated by 0.77% to open at 39,755.47 to close at 40,061.24 basis points. Market capitalization increased by 0.77% to close at 13.23 trillion naira. Market breadth closed positive as Fitson leads 32 gainers against 33 losers, topped by Owando. Investors exchanged 292.1 million ordinary shares worth 3.98 billion naira in 4,813 deals. Port Oil PLC led the gainers chart, followed by Dangote Cement, Total, WAPCO, and UACN PLC, while Nigerian Breweries topped the losers table, followed by the Seplat PLC, Unilever, Owando, and Carventon. And here are the top 5 traders. And that's it on business news. Shortly, Tolu Ojewumi will be joining you with some sport news. Stay with us.
Good evening once again, now to the ever-exciting world of sports with me, Tolu Ojewumi. We start with Euro football. Super Eagles star Emmanuel Emenike has been placed on a €20 million, about 4.4 billion naira price tag by the management of Turkish Super League champions Fenerbahce. The Nigerian, who was bought from Russia's Spartak Moscow, was placed on a new release clause following the demand for his signature by the English Premier League trio of Liverpool, Everton and Tottenham Hotspur. It would be recalled that the Nigerian was the Yellow Canaries' second top goal scorer after he netted 12 goals last season. Emenike is set to lead the Super Eagles to the Mundial in Brazil after a knee injury cost him a place in the coach Stephen Ketch's side that played in the FIFA Confederations Cup that was hosted in the home of the Samba Boys. Swansea centre-back Ashley Williams has reportedly turned down the offer of a new contract and asked for a move away from the club. Though Williams has a year left on his Swansea contract, he has, however, threatened to walk away for free in 12 months' time if it does not get a transfer now. The news has alerted Arsenal, who are on the lookout for another defender to add to their ranks, as report indicates that Arsene Wenger is prepared to make a £3 million bid. The Gunners have been long-term admirers of the centre-back and tried to bring him to the Emirates Stadium last summer. Napoli and Lille are among the sides who may rival Arsenal for the defender. Now to athletes, former world 100 meters record holder Asafa Powell has asked the Court of Arbitration for Sports to reduce his 18-month doping ban. Powell, 31, and 3-time Olympic medal winner Sharon Simpson tested positive for the stimulant oxylofrene at Jamaica's national trials last June. Simpson, 29, has also asked for her own 18-month suspension to be reduced to 3 months. In January, Powell testified that Canadian physical trainer Chris Sharab provided him with 9 supplements, including Epiphany D1. Sharab has denied providing performance-enhancing drugs, and Powell and Simpson will miss the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow in July, but will be eligible to return to competition on the 20th of December. Now to French Open, former champion Lena suffered a shock first-round defeat by France's Kristina Mladenovic at the French Open. The Chinese second seed, who won the Australian Open in January, made 35 unforced errors in a 7-5, 3-6, 6-1 loss. World number 103, Mladenovic, who won the juniors title in Paris in 2009, will next play American Alison Risk. It is the first time that both reigning Grand Slam champions have lost in the first round of the next major after Stanleyster Wawrinka's defeat on Monday. The last Australian Open women's champion to lose in the first round at Roland Garros was American Lindsay Davenport in 2000. Elsewhere, Big Seven Ivo Karlovic beat men's 11th seed Grigor Dimitrov 6-4, 7-5, 7-6, 7-4. That's it on our sports desk tonight. A big thank you to you for watching. Good evening.
Thank you, Tulu. Looks like lots of money for our own Emenike there in Europe. For more on the news and other programs, you can visit our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. And you can also follow us on Twitter at CoreTV News NG. You get to watch previews and, of course, current episode of our news and programs on YouTube. It's youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space and news. Outside Nigeria now, Russia has called for an immediate end to violence in eastern Ukraine after 40 people were killed in fighting between government forces and pro-Moscow rebels, maintaining Moscow's tough tone after the election of Ukraine's new president. Vladimir Putin accused Kiev of carrying out punitive operations in eastern regions. Putin underlined the need for an immediate end to the punitive operation in southeastern regions and the establishment of peaceful dialogue between Kiev and regional representatives. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov called for an end to the fighting, accusing Kiev of using the military against civilians. As the world celebrates Children's Day, the plight of children all over the world has been put in focus, looking at the legacies the future generation will be left with. Correspondent Martins Dixon takes a look at child soldiers who fought in the Liberian Civil War, now struggling to live a meaningful life. This report is presented from our studios.
Today, he helps out at its taxi rank, but during Liberia's brutal civil war, Abdul Sassi would roam these streets with an AK-47, a member of Charles Taylor's notorious Demon Forces militia, which tortured, killed and raped its way through the country. Abdul says he was abducted on his way to school age 15 and forced to fight. Now 33, he works to feed a drug habit and sleeps rough.
So I start fighting with the people. Yeah. So the people now, that time war finished in December. Take everything for us. So I start loading car. If I don't get to do nothing, I have to go steal from somebody. So I start loading car, small, get my daily bread. And then I sleep on the south.
It's though as many as 38,000 children were forced to fight in the back-to-back civil wars from 1989 and 2003 that killed 250,000 people. An entire generation missed out on an education. And a disarmament and rehabilitation program set up after the conflict failed to prevent thousands from falling through the net.
They have to be solved because these will constitute, I'm talking about more 75% of the youth of Liberia. Those are people, those that are not educated, they are more than those that are educated. So we can't move forward until these people's situation will be handled. And it's also difficult too because it will take a long time. And they are overgrown. And there are people that used to just quick money. That's the problem. They want quick money.
Augustine was 15 when anti-Taylor guerrillas attacked his hometown of Rubber Spot. Forced to fight, He admits to killing people and took part in the 2003 siege of Monrovia, which resulted in the death of some 1,000 civilians in heavy shelling. He returned to Robosport to fish, but the memory of the war and the stigma of being labeled a fighter are hard to eradicate.
You know, some people see you fighting and look at your face, you know, then after the war and begin to point at you. So these men were fighting, these men were fighting, they began to get powerful.
A study by two charities in 2009 found that post-traumatic stress and depression were a commonplace among Liberia's former child soldiers. More than a decade after the end of fighting, it's a legacy that will linger for years to come.
To end CORETV Primetime News, a recap of our top stories. We told you Boko Haram has wreaked havoc in Yobe and Borno states, killed soldiers, policemen and villagers after 2 hours siege. And convicted member of Boko Haram, Kabiru Umar, alias Kabiru Sokoto, has appealed to President Goodluck Jonathan for pardon. And that's it on CORETV Primetime News tonight. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. On behalf of the production crew, it's good night.